Let's move back to Gauteng and pick up on an issue that we've reported on a number of times at state hospitals here. Food supply. It seems the problem is not sporadic. It's actually pretty much par for the course. Since the start of the year, 26 out of Gauteng's 34 public hospitals have experienced food shortages. Gauteng's health MEC, Nomanto Nkomo Ralehoko, confirmed this in reply to a question posed by the DA Shadow Health MEC Jack Bloom recently. And he joins me now. Mr. Bloom, thanks so much for your time. You know, we're used to hearing about problems at Chris Hani Baragwanath every now and then, but this seems like a systemic issue. Am I right? Is it all boiling down to one or two key problems that keep reoccurring?
Yes, it does appear to be very widespread, and for the same problem is that Gauteng Health Department finds it incapable of paying suppliers within required 30 days. So many suppliers simply stop supplying, and it's a simple thing like food. You know, I mean, there's so many alternative suppliers. You'd think that they could also get reliable suppliers. One of the other problems is that they have suppliers who can't deliver, so one must ask why they were chosen in the first place. And then we have a problem of contracts expiring and not being renewed. So, I mean, it's really just financial mismanagement, which is unfortunately chronic in the Gauteng Health Department, unfortunately, and it's affecting no fewer than 24 hospitals, some of them very, very severely. I mean, if I was looking at the comments of the individual hospitals, the Califong Hospital says if it continues like this, patients could have malnutrition. Imagine you're in a hospital and you over the longer term, if you're there long enough, you won't you'll have malnutrition. It's tragic. It's really pathetic. The fact of the matter is that nutrition is especially important, the recovery of patients in hospital, and decent meals is good for patient morale. Instead, at Helen Joseph Hospital, the management admits that patients buy from the cafeteria in the hospital, or they deliver. I can imagine you use Uber Eats to get decent food, well, at least some food at the hospital, and that's what's happening. And people are ordering takeaways to their hospital bed.
So why are vendors not being paid? Is it just a system that sounds fairly chaotic and not well managed, or is there a money problem?
Well, typically towards the end of the financial year, which is at the end of March, there is a bit of a money crunch. But this is the non-payment issue is throughout the year. For some reason, they just can't get their act together and pay all suppliers on time. But then, of course, they don't renew contracts, or existing suppliers can't deliver. So in response to my question, which exposed the wider issue, the Gauteng Health Department said they're now going to look at multiple vendors and hopefully, I suppose, spread the risk so that if one supplier can't deliver, you've got another supplier. Well, I don't know why that wasn't done earlier, and why they can't actually decentralize this to hospital management. But the same problem's going to happen. You can have multiple vendors, but if you're not paying them, well, they're not going to deliver. But it's simple things. How can hospitals run out of bread, or margarine, or frozen foods, or meat, or chicken? I mean, it's so easy to get that on the open market. You have to really think what level of incompetence there is in this department, that ordinary food can't be procured for sick patients.
So talk to me. You say that and you know, I've interviewed the health MEC, and she was quite open about the problems, and she committed to really looking at it. And you know, this multi-vendor approach. Have you had a look at the current system? Because you've spoken about some vendors don't know how to deliver, and that aren't able to deliver, others can. So it seems there are a lot of vendors involved as it stands. So what is your understanding of how the system is going to change?
Well, we'll have to see, to be honest. I just think that we need to have competent people, decent, honest people who know how to do the job. and we should decentralize it. But you can only decentralize if you have decent, honest, competent hospital managers. And unfortunately, at a fair number of our hospitals, we don't have that. Now, it's very interesting to me that some hospitals never experience food shortages. I want to single out Mamelodi Hospital, which has a very competent CEO who was appointed to sort out the mess, and he's done that largely. So I think that some hospitals seem to get it right, and that's because they have an activist hospital manager in charge. But other hospitals try their best as well, but they fall victim to the Gauteng Health Department that finds it impossible to pay their bills on time.
Yeah, and I think, we've got 26 out of the 34 public hospitals in Gauteng that have ongoing food supply problems. So the 8 that don't, I'm just going to name them because there's so few. It's the Far East Rand, Mamelodi, as you mentioned, Polosong, South Rand, Heidelberg, Kopanong, and Sterkfontein hospitals. Weskoppies Hospital, which is the mental hospital in Pretoria, they did not have shortages, but they do have to do requests, RFQs, and alternative arrangements. So I'm getting a sense that those hospitals that do manage to navigate their way through the problems have competent supply chain managers who know how to deal with a system that doesn't always operate very well. I mean, how difficult is it for people on the hospital side to order the food? Is it the problem that they're not ordering in time, do you think? Or is it that they have to go through a lot of very difficult processes to actually get the food?
Well, in the case of Weskoppies, who say that they haven't experienced food shortages, they did complain that the RFQ, which stands for Request for Quotations, there's a lot of red tape involved. And, they say they haven't got food shortages. It means they've managed to get around it. But, why does the head office of the Gauteng Health Department make things so difficult for hospital managers? I think they do their best in the circumstances, but if they don't pay the bills on time, can you blame a supplier for not providing it? But it's basic items: bread, meat, chicken, frozen vegetables. I mean, it's so easy to procure on the open market. I would also, as usual, suspect corruption as well. Is that why we're getting suppliers who take the money but don't deliver? So I think we need a wholesale change in the Gauteng Health Department, both at head office, sort out the financial management. Of course, they don't have a permanent chief financial officer because there's been the CFO was actually suspended because she was implicated in the massive corruption of contracts at the Tembisa hospital. So if you look at the Gauteng Health Department, there's too many people in acting positions. And if you look at hospital CEOs, some do their best in very adverse circumstances, but others should never have been chosen in the first place. The health ombudsman had very cutting remarks about the CEO who was put in charge of Rahima Musa Hospital. He said that she should never have been appointed in the first place. Now, if you don't have decent leadership at all levels,
good point.
It's
leadership
not going to work.
Is absolutely critical, which brings me to my next question. The Gauteng Health MEC, she said she's absolutely committed to sorting this problem out. Are you seeing signs that she is going to find a way to do exactly that?
Well, she came from Treasury. She was formerly the Gauteng Finance MEC, so she should know how to fix, the financial matters. But I think it's just systemic. Frankly, I think there needs to be a new political party in control of the provincial government. I think that there's political protection for incompetence and corrupt people, and until you make that wholesale management change, get rid of all the deadbeats and all the corrupt people. I did a press statement today about the Tembisa hospital corruption. The SIU had found that 9 staff at the Tembisa hospital were implicated in these very fishy contracts that in total came to 1 billion rand over 3 years. These 9 staff members who were implicated by the SIU in December last year are still at their jobs at the Tembisa hospital. Now, I mean, what's happening? I think there's political protection. Why are they not immediately suspended and have speedy disciplinary action? So here's an example where, maybe the MEC is trying her best, but honestly, she could do way, way better and start with cleaning up corruption. Start with Tembisa Hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
if 1 billion rand has been misspent at one hospital alone, can you imagine what it's like across the whole department?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to us, DA Shadow Health MEC Jack Blue.